all know that database management system is one of the most used concepts for managing the data. In that, we have a concept called normalization. But why do we need normalization? The goal of data normalization is to reduce and even eliminate the data redundancy. So in that case, we use normalization concepts. So in this tutorial, we are going to cover what is normalization in SQL. Before start the tutorial, let me introduce that Great Learning has came up with the idea that is Great Learning Academy, where you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after completing your course, you can claim your certificate as well. And if you want to do these courses in your mobile application, that is also possible using Great Learning app. So let's get started with the tutorial. Now we will have a look at what is normalization. So I was saying that normalization is one of the most useful process and most wanted process whenever you are going to store your data in database management system. So what is normalization? Normalization is the process of organizing data to avoid duplication and redundancy. It helps to minimize duplicate data. Also, it tries to minimize or avoid data modifications issues. To simplify the queries also, we use normalization techniques. Now, let's have a look at what are the type of normalization techniques we have. So, normalization rules are divided into few categories. So, let's have a look at what are the categories we have for normalization. We have first normal form, which is known as 1nf in short. We also know as second normal form, that is known as 2nf. We also have third normal form. And lastly, we have Boyce and code normal form, that is BCNF. So we already seen what are the types of normalization we have or the categories we have. Now we will have a look at how can you implement them, right? And how can you use them in your databases as well. So let's start with first normal form, which is known as 1nf. So each set of columns should have a unique value. It also helps to prevent using the multiple columns to fetch the same row. It should contain a primary key that identifies all the rows as a unique data. The primary key is usually a single column, but if needed, then more than one column can be combined to create a single primary key that we already know. Now let's have a look at how can you use them in a databases. So let's have an example of that. Suppose we have a table called student age and course, right? Now you can see in the first table we have two courses under Raj, right? So basically from that we can say maybe Raj is enrolled for two courses, that is CR001 and CR005, right? But whenever we go for using our first 10F or first normal form, that time we are not allowed to have more than one value in one column. Right. So in that case, you need to make two rows for Raj. So first rows will contain the first course he has enrolled for, and the second rows you can see it will contain the second course he had enrolled for. You can see your data or your table has changed after using the 1nf concepts, that it has two rows for Raj. Right? So if you see the course, so in that case, your columns are or your rows are basically increased because you are putting each and every data in different rows. And here you can see after implementing the first normal form, maybe the data redundancy increases, but each row as a whole will be unique. So this is the main focus on 1nf. Right? So using first normal form basically help us to get each row that will be whole unique row. So your data will be unique, but maybe there will be some data redundancy are there, and it will maybe sometimes increase the data redundancy. Now let's have a look at what is 2nf. Right? So whenever you are going for using 2nf rules for your database, be sure your database is already in 1nf. So this is the first and foremost criteria whenever you are going to use second normal form to your data. Now, the first normal form is not able to reduce the data redundancy that we already have seen. Then 2nf, that is second normal form, follows that there will be not be any partial dependency of any column on primary key, right? It also follows the concepts of full functional dependency. Let's have an example for that and look at that how the second normal forms are working. Now we will have a look at what is second normal form. For example, of first normal form, there are 2 rows for Raj, right? He registered for 2 courses. The candidate key is student and course. The age of students depends upon student column, which is not correct as per the second normal form. So here, what we need to do, we need to make or divide our data set into 2 parts, where there will be no dependency with the primary key, right? So you can see we have student table and subject table, or you can say the course table. In one table, we have student column and the age column, right? Which is not dependent to each other. And the second column we have, in the second table, we have the student column as well as the course column, which again, they are not related or dependent to each other, right? So let's go back to the first slide once. Here you can see we have student age and course, where your students depends upon the student column, which is not correct, right? So this is how our second normal form works. And candidate key for subject table, like student and course column, now both the tables maintains the rules for second normal form, right? Now we will have a look at what is 3nf, that is third normal form. A relation of a table will be in 3nf if it is already in 2nf. So it's basically a rule, okay? So, or it's basically a chain. First, you need to make sure your data will be in first normal form. If your data will be in first normal form, then only you are allowed to go for second normal form. When you have used or implement the rule for second normal form, then only you are allowed to go for third normal form. And a relation of a table will be in third normal form if it's already in second normal form and does not contain any transitive partial dependency. And 3nf helps to reduce the data duplications. Now comes the data duplication part that will be handled. I hope you are getting understanding that why normalization is required whenever you are going to store your data in data management system, right? So it is also supposed to achieve the data integrity. If the table has no transitive dependency for non-prime attributes, then the relation should be in the third normal form, right? So non-prime attributes are which columns or attributes are not primary key, right? Now let's have a look at the types of normalization, that is 3nf. Now take an example of a table. Suppose you have student ID, student name, date of birth, street, city, state, and JIT. Okay, so you can see if you see in the table, you can understand student ID will be your primary key, but street, city, and state depends upon JIT, right? The dependency between JIT and other fields are known as transitive dependency. So this dependency basically like showing you what are the transitive dependency stands for, right? Now, maintain 3nf, we need to make a table where the street, city, and state and JIT column will be there, and JIT as a primary key, right? So in the table, you can see student ID, student name, date of birth, and JIT, right? There is one table for student table and another table for address table. So in the second table, you will have JIT, street, city, and state, right? So this is how we use our third normal form. Now we already see our third normal form. Now let's have a look at what is voice and code normal form, that is known as BCNF. So BCNF is basically the advanced version of 3NF. It's quite similar to 3NF. It is more strict than 3NF, and to use the law of BCNF, we need to make sure that our data is already in 3NF. So if you want to use the normalization, again, you need to go for maintaining the chain rule, right? So what's the chain rule basically? So chain rule is you start with first NF, then you maintain the first NF rule, then you go for using the second NF, and then when you applied all the rules for second NF, then you go for using third NF. And when you go for third NF, when you already implemented your 3NF, then only you are allowed to go for using BCNF rule to your data. In this video, we have talked about what is normalization in SQL. What are the concepts is related to normalization and how can you perform normalization in your own dataset. So we hope you like the video and do let us know how you feel about that. Before complete the tutorial, let me introduce that Great Learning has come up with the idea that is Great Learning Academy, where you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after complete your course you can claim your certificate as well. And if you want to do this course in your mobile application, that is also possible using Great Learning app. Thank you so much.